This episode of The Direction is brought to you by Mist Utility. Know what's below, call before you dig. Look at Tommy over here. Never gets old, does it, Tommy?
Never does. There you go.
At 83, I just saw a smile from that fish. Every one of them, they bring a smile to your face, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
Better take one picture with a fish. I caught a fish beside a legend. I gotta have one picture now, hold on.
Big old bass, nearly big enough to be a keeper. Nearly put him in the live well. I heard him say, Dad, how'd you do, Dad? How'd you do, Dad? And Hank says, well, son, I didn't catch a fish. And I heard it go click. He's hung up on it because he didn't catch a fish. There he is, that's a better one.
Come here, little buddy. Oh, look at here, we're gonna double it up. Now I get to say that I've doubled up. I'm gonna get a fist bump out of Tommy right there. How about that? Everyone has a story. Sometimes it's about catching monster bass. Now that's a studly muddly, baby. And sometimes it's about life's lessons. Every story is as unique as the person who tells it. So join us as we make some new friends, reunite with some old ones, catch a few fish, and share a story or two. I'm Mark Stowe, and this is The Direction.
This week on The Direction, Mark is excited to return to famous Sam Rayburn to fish with a bass fishing legend, Tommy Martin. A former Bassmaster Classic champion and a member of the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame, Tommy is widely considered to be one of the greatest bass anglers of all time. Tommy's ability to read water and find fish is uncanny. On today's episode, we get to learn from this legend and hear some great stories along the way.
Folks, we're going to be with legendary Tommy Martin here. Tommy, your career has spanned over a lot of years. You've got a career that is just truly admirable.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the chance to be on the show with you guys. I started tournament fishing a long time ago. 1968 at Lake Livingston, I fished my first one, and man, I just got, I was obsessed with tournament fishing after that first tournament. It cost me $100 to get in that tournament. And believe it or not, it's all I want to do is get my $100 back. I was so poor back in those days, I don't know what I was thinking when I entered it, but I got in it and got my $100 back, and I got obsessed with tournament fishing and started fishing bass in 1974, and I've been fishing a long time. You know, I'm still fishing today. I'm 82 years old, and I'm still fishing tournaments, and I'm just as obsessed with bass fishing today as I was back when I started, I guarantee you.
Well, I see that obsession because we've been standing in the parking lot talking about technology and the techniques of today and kind of how they've evolved, so to speak, and that passion's definitely still there. So I guess me and you're going to hop out on the water today, see if we can go catch a few fish, and I know that you're going to have a boatload of stories to tell all these folks today.
Well, let's do it.
Tommy, your career kind of started around the Lake of Sam Rayburn, am I correct?
Yeah, a lot of it's right here at this boat ramp we just put in on. I started guiding here in 1968, January of 1968. And you know, when I moved to Lufkin, Texas, I lived out on the coast. I'd fished saltwater as a kid growing up all my life and knew nothing about bass fishing. I've heard of bass, but didn't know how to catch them, didn't have a clue. Moved up here to Lufkin, Texas in 1965, and somebody told me the first day I got here there was a big old lake out here flooding right now. It was filling up with water and it was going to be a huge lake. I said, what's the name of it? And they said, Sam Rayburn Reservoir. And this is where I learned to bass fish, right here on this lake, you know. And back then, I'll tell you what, in those days there was nobody up here knew how to catch bass, so you literally had to learn everything you knew or everything that you could learn on your own, strictly by yourself, listening to what the fish told you and how, you know, you just catch one on this lure, catch one on that lure, try this, try that. A lot of trial and error. And many days I'd go out and not catch hardly anything. Pretty frustrating, really. But you had nobody to go to. There was no good magazines. certainly no internet or no television.
No internet.
You know, we just didn't have the gadgets. The information flow that you have today is unbelievable. A guy can, in today's time, a guy can learn to become a great bass fisherman, a very good bass fisherman, in 2 or 3 years because of all the information
All
that
the
flows.
information, absolutely.
But back when I learned it, I'm telling you, I learned the hard way. They say that's the best way, but I learned the hard way for sure.
All right, we got a beautiful morning this morning, and we're gonna hit the water and learn a little something from Tommy today. Now, how many classics have you made?
I fished in 20 of them.
Wow.
This time of year, generally speaking, you know, this type of fishing we're doing here gets better as the day goes on. It warms up a little bit. But this lake is I mean, you do a lot of flipping here. You can, when the water's high, there's just a lot of different ways to catch them. Got one? There you go.
And
Look at here, we caught a fish.
we're gonna have a little old fish. Hey, that livens a moment up, breaks ice.
Yeah. They moved up here a little shallower on this. The Cinco?
Yes, sir. I followed your lead.
Yeah.
Come on, little old fish. Ain't a little old fish. That Kentucky fish, that's a good fish. Come on, buddy. That one little old fish. That's a start, Tommy. I guess I better take one picture with a fish. I caught a fish beside a legend. I gotta have one picture now, hold on.
There you go.
Ain't many times in your life you get to catch a fish beside a legend.
Look at there, it's got a black tail too.
It is,
That's
at
pretty.
them spots.
Yeah. Yeah, these fish, a lot of these fish have those black spots on them.
See you, buddy. This segment was brought to you by Jinko Fishing. It's all about the action. This segment is brought to you by Denali Rods, tournament tested, tournament tough. I watched this guy as a kid. His name in magazines and on Bass Pro Shops in the magazine, and to get in a boat with him is, it's truly a privilege. And people don't, sometimes in their lifetime, we don't realize somebody like you and guys that have a career, you look at it as just fishing because that's all it is. You know what I'm saying? You're just a guy out there going fishing, but it's inspiring for youth who get to watch guys like you do something that you love.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, old Billy Westmoreland, of course, he's a legend in my area. He loved them smallmouth.
He come down to Toledo Bend when I had my marina down in Howson Bay. That was in about 1974, 75, right after I won the Classic. He had a TV show, Billy did. And he come down to do a show with me, and he always called me the mayor of Hemp Hill. and
The mayor of Hemp Hill.
He had that 6-pound test line on those spinning rods, and I told him, I said, Billy, I know you like fishing that 6-pound test line and that spinning rod and reel, but I'm gonna tell you, these big old bass out here are gonna wear you out. They're gonna tear you up. He said, oh son, don't worry about that. He said, I can handle them. And I said, okay. On purpose, I took him to a spot that had the nastiest brush on the bottom you can think of in this place. It was brushy. Old road bed with brush all down there. And we went over there that afternoon and he got broke off about 6 times in a row. He said, well, maybe you're right. Maybe I need to go to 8 or 10.
8 or 10?
Yeah. Oh yeah, you know, when television got involved, we all knew that, you know, bass fishing was going to grow because the way to reach the masses is with, but you're catching the heck out of them. What are you doing?
I just throwing that
Spitting on
Cinco.
your bait or something?
That's what my grandma used to, hey, you know, that's what my granny would always tell me to do. She'd say,
Right.
you take and spit on that bait and you'll catch more fish. And
I'm gonna have to borrow one of your baits. I can't get a bite.
I just throwing that old Cinco. Hey, you're the one who gave me the idea to throw it. I'm just following your lead. There we go.
Little buck.
Tommy's sliding another one in the boat.
Boy, he's hooked. Look at there, barely hooked. That is a baby bass. A little bit, that's good bait.
That's the next generation coming up. Go. Look, he just makes it look smooth. Tommy?
Yeah, look at here. Big old bass, nearly big enough to be a keeper. You nearly put him in the live well. There you go.
Look at Tommy over here. He's putting, oh, that's a nice chunk. Never gets old, does it, Tommy?
Never does. There you go.
At 83, I just saw a smile from that fish. Every one of them, they bring a smile to your face, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
This segment is brought to you by RustOleum, paint and so much more. Boom, 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 hook up.
Hit the trolling motor.
Tommy, you just keeping on flipping them in the boat here.
You notice they're all about the same size.
Well, you
Very
said a
cute.
lot of them, the
Yeah.
bucks are just
Yeah.
moving up
Yeah.
here. And
They are. There you go. I hear people all the time say, well, you know, I've never fished a tournament and got skunked. But you know what my answer to that is? You just hadn't fished many tournaments.
ain't that
Because it's
true?
going to happen sooner or later. If you go to lakes that you know nothing about and stuff, one of these days you're going to get skunked. It's going to happen.
Sure, and if that lake doesn't match your techniques and what you
I mean,
do,
you
and
can be on. I remember the very next year, we went back to Little Rock for the Bassmasters Classic. Same. The lucky thing that the last day I fished in that Classic Clun one, I found a bunch of fish, and I brought in about 16 pounds that last day. I had a good catch, but it didn't help me because I zeroed the second day. But the next year we went there, I nearly won it. I finished second, and I thought I had it won. Jack Chancellor beat me by about 3 ounces, and I ended up second. But I caught all my fish in the creek that I'd found the last day of the previous year's Classic. That's where I caught them. Went back a year later, and they were there, and everything worked out. I caught a bunch of them. I mean, I was having, on the Arkansas River, like 15, 16, 17 pounds is a pretty darn decent string. But I was staying with Hank Parker that year. That first year, me and Hank were rooming together. And my wife was having my oldest son at that time. She was in the hospital having a baby, so she couldn't be there. You usually stay with your wife. But anyway, Hank and I were staying together. And the first day of the tournament, Hank zeroed. He didn't catch fish. And we got back to the room, and the phone rang, and it was his youngest son was on the line. And he said, I heard him say, Dad, how'd you do, Dad? How'd you do, Dad? And Hank says, well, son, I didn't catch a fish. And I heard it go click. He's hung up on him because he didn't catch a fish. I said, what do you do, Hank? He said, he hung up on me. I said, why? He said, he'll do that if I don't do good. He didn't catch a fish, and his son hung up.
oh my goodness.
Oh, he was pretty humiliated, really.
Oh, here we go. Tommy, you just pounding on them this afternoon. He said by afternoon they'd start biting. All right, now that one growed up a little bit more.
Well, he's still a skinny old fish. He ain't much.
He ain't gonna let you take a picture of that one either. I better get in the picture real quick because he might not let us take another one.
There he is, that's a better one.
Come here, little buddy. Oh, look at here, we're gonna double it up. Now, Tommy, things are heating up a little bit now. Look at here. Now I get to say that I've doubled up. I'm gonna get a fist bump out of Tommy right there. How about that? Get to say I got to get in the boat we can catch a double. Hey, wait, I'll take my picture with you.
Now, surely you don't want a picture of this fish. Do you really?
Wait a minute.
Do you have to have a picture of
wait.
this fish?
I'm gonna pull a Ray Scott moment on you. You know, that's what you gotta hold that up and show it off.
Biggest of the day.
We gotta entertain the crowd here, Tommy. Oh, that was good.
I haven't tore my worm up.
Come here, Fed. Don't run over in them bushes. Don't you get over there.
You got him now.
Come on, buddy. I'm sitting there talking to you, and he's running around out there with my bait. Got to entertain the crowd a little bit. You know, hold it up and do the shake, right?
Right.
Is that the way it worked?
That's a pretty good
You got to
one.
hold it up and shake it.
That's a bigger male bass.
Pretty fish. You just grow up. This segment is brought to you by Power Pole. Swift, silent, secure. Here we go. There we go. Now it's got a little more meat
Got some
on
lips
it.
on him. You got a few, little
There
bit of
you
lip
go.
on him.
He got a little gut on him and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Tommy, down this stretch now, you've just put, I think, three in the boat and about 3 or 4 casts.
Well, that's the way fishing is. They're in certain places, and of course we've seen that today. There's certain places they're not, or they weren't biting when we were there. So you just never know exactly which it is. But there are definitely some right here.
Now it's time for your safe digging moment of the week, brought to you by 811. Always remember to call before you dig. Our 811 moment of the week is catching a double right beside Tommy Martin. This guy was like an idol to me as a young kid, and at 80 plus years of age, he's still hopping around catching fish like he was 25 years old. He continues to be a role model and inspiration to anglers of all ages.
Fishing is what we do. Men love to fish and hunt, and I'll tell you what, I told my boys, I raised both of them, or she raised them, but I had a lot to do with raising them when I was home. And I got both of them into fishing and hunting when they were real young and stuff, and she got them into sports. She introduced them to every sport there is. I mean, we went to so many ball games. I was a professional ball game observer, I guarantee you, when I was growing up, when I was younger. But it was good for them because they turned out to be good boys. They never got in trouble. They fished, hunted, and did things like that, but never got in trouble. If more parents would do that with their children, the world would be a better place to live. There's no doubt about it. There's no better place to get them than out in the outdoors. Get them outdoors and get them interested in that, and they'll be good kids. They don't have time to get in trouble. They're always working on something to do with hunting and fishing. And they're still that way today. My older boy is. My younger boy is into roping, so all he does is rope. He's got a hobby that he's obsessed with, and that's the way the world rocks.
I think that's good for you. Get your kids into sports, keep them busy. It's like mine, when they ain't playing sports, they're wanting to go to the woods, go to the farm, go out and do a little fishing. And I mean, you got to keep them busy. It does make the world a better place if you keep these kids busy.
All right, now we're gonna be in luck if we can find the ramp. Y'all know where it is?
Hey, you know what? There's some pretty good technology in these boats today to cheat with. You just drive that track line back.
I'll tell you one thing about the St. Lawrence River. It's got so many islands in it. But back before GPS, I was up there one year practicing. I got back in behind all those islands, and I never got out of there. I said, man, I hope nobody's watching me, because I tried to cut through these islands. I'd run aground. I couldn't get through. I'd go around, get back out in deep water, try to get through. I was trying to get back out to the river. But it's confusing as heck up there. There's so many islands. I mean, that's why they call it the Thousand Islands. It's just islands everywhere you go.
It is.
Yeah.
It's kind of intimidating.
If you have GPS, I mean, you can look at your cursor and you know where you are. But back then, no GPS. We didn't have
That's
it.
a good excuse to tell the wife why you're late. Honey, I was lost.
Well, she would believe that.
Well, Tommy, I can't thank you enough for coming
bet.
out here today and
I enjoyed
spending a
it.
day on the water. It's a privilege to be in the boat with you and get to hear your stories. And
Well, it's nice meeting all y'all, and we enjoyed it. And do it again one of these days. You holler at me.
we can do it. I appreciate it, sir. The Direction is brought to you by 811. Know what's below, call before you dig. We would also like to thank these fine partners. Closed captioning is brought to you by USA North. Call 811 before you dig.